For every Trish Stratus and Lita, there's a whole roster of women in the WWE who either got lost in the shuffle, changed careers, or had horrible endings. From retirements to modeling careers, from controversies to returns, this is what happened to every forgotten female wrestler in the WWE, kicking things off with one of the most popular divas of the late 2000s, Kelly Kelly. Kelly debuted on ECW in 2006 at just 19 years old with zero professional wrestling experience. Her original role was that of eye candy, and Vince McMahon himself came up with the name. But here's the thing about Barbie Blank. She actually worked on her skills and improved. Year after year, she got better in the ring, and fans noticed. By 2011, the WWE Universe had voted her in as the #1 contender on the special Power to the People episode of Raw, and she went on to pin Brie Bella for the Divas Championship. She held the title for 104 days before dropping it to Beth Phoenix. Off-screen, she was also making moves. She became the first WWE diva to appear on the cover of Maxim magazine in December 2011, and by September 2012, she left the company citing a neck injury and a desire to pursue modeling. After WWE, she leaned fully into life outside the ring. She was part of a reality series on E! Alongside wives and girlfriends of other professional athletes, appeared in Days of Our Lives, and built a significant influencer following on the internet. In July 2019, she made a one-off Raw reunion appearance and pinned Gerald Briscoe to win the 24/7 championship. Today, Kelly is signed to a Legends contract, a regular name in the influencer space, and was recently added to the 2K26 video game roster. Her in-ring days are behind her, but she stayed firmly connected to the wrestling orbit. But while Kelly's story ended on relatively warm terms, the next woman on our list had a career that was chaotic and left fans wanting a whole lot more. If you were watching SmackDown in 2005 and you heard that shrieking scream echo through the arena followed by a woman doing the splits on the ring apron, you already know who we're talking about. Melina's entrance alone was unlike anything the women's division had ever seen, and it was only matched by what she could do once she got inside the ropes. She debuted managing the tag team of Joey Mercury and Johnny Nitro, steering them to 3 reigns as tag team champions while declaring herself the most dominant diva in the company. When she shifted to singles competition in 2007, she beat Mickie James for the women's championship and never really left the title picture. She'd go on to become a 3-time WWE Women's Champion and a 2-time Divas Champion, making her the first woman in WWE history to hold both titles multiple times. Her feuds with Trish Stratus, Mickie James, and Michelle McCool gave us some of the best women's matches of that entire era. Melina could work heel, she could work face, and she made everything feel intense in a time when most women's matches were an afterthought. She was released by WWE in August 2011, with creative reportedly having nothing lined up for her. In the years since, she's made sporadic appearances for Impact, Lucha Underground, and the NWA, but never signed a full-time deal. She still shows up at WWE Legends Nights and Royal Rumbles occasionally, and she remains a fixture on the indie wrestling circuit. But if Melina was the glamorous star who quietly faded out, the next woman on our list was someone who got not one but 2 completely different runs in the WWE. Maria Kanellis entered WWE in 2004 after participating in the Diva Search. She was hired as a backstage interviewer on SmackDown. Her early character was essentially a ditzy girl who fumbled her lines and looked confused during the interviews. The thing is, a lot of that wasn't entirely a character. By her own admission, she was green and genuinely nervous in those early days. But she leaned into it, made it work, and slowly built a fan base. Her most memorable period with the company came in 2007 when she was slotted into a love triangle storyline involving Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix. It wasn't a title feud, but it gave her personality and consistent airtime. She won the Slammy Award for Diva of the Year in 2009, before she was released in February 2010. After WWE, Maria reinvented herself completely. She dropped the ditzy persona, married Mike Bennett, and became one of the sharpest managers on the indie scene. She helped build the Kingdom stable in Ring of Honor, captured the TNA Knockouts Championship in 2016, and co-founded Women's Wrestling Army in 2022, positioning herself as a producer and executive in women's wrestling. She made a brief return to the WWE with her husband around 2019, but were released during the budget cuts. She signed with AEW in late 2022, but the run never found its footing. Her screen time dried up, she dealt with health issues, and on January 31st, 2025, she announced it was her last day with the company. As of early 2026, Maria is a free agent, focused on motherhood, independent projects, and even pursuing a master's degree at the University of Illinois. She went from an interviewer who couldn't quite get out of her own way to a legit force in women's wrestling. But somewhere between the two, there's a version of Maria's career that never reached the heights it could have and feels incomplete. And speaking of incomplete, the next woman on our list had one of the most talked about debuts in history and one of the most heartbreaking endings. Before she was Kharma, she was Awesome Kong, a two-time TNA Knockouts champion who had already torn through promotions in Japan, Ring of Honor, and the United States. At 6 feet tall and over 270 pounds, she didn't look like anyone else on the women's roster anywhere. She was a legit powerhouse who could wrestle, and by the time WWE came calling in late 2010, the wrestling world was buzzing. Starting April 2011, WWE ran weeks of vignettes featuring a shadowed figure with braids, cackling while destroying dolls. When Kharma finally debuted at Extreme Rules 2011, attacking Michelle McCool, the crowd was hyped. Week after week, she dismantled every diva in her path. WWE was building toward an inevitable collision with Beth Phoenix, and fans couldn't wait, but then everything stopped. On the May 23rd episode of Raw, Kharma walked to the ring, looked ready to attack, and broke down crying. The following week, she revealed she was pregnant and would be taking a leave of absence. The division had never had anyone like her, and she was gone just as quickly as she'd arrived. Tragedy struck during her time away. She suffered a miscarriage on December 31st, 2011, and returned for a surprise entry in the 2012 Royal Rumble, becoming only the third woman in history at that time to enter the Men's Rumble after Chyna and Beth Phoenix. She never competed in another WWE match. By July 2012, she was released, with reports indicating she hadn't been in the right physical or mental shape to return to the ring. After WWE, she went back to TNA and later appeared in AEW before retiring from in-ring competition in August 2021. Her most visible post-wrestling role came through acting when she played the Welfare Queen in Netflix's Glow series. She was inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame in 2021. As of 2026, Kharma has largely stepped away from the ring, occasionally appearing in documentaries and retrospectives. Her WWE run will always be a what if, a monster who never got the moment she deserved. Victoria's journey in the wrestling world began during her days working as a fitness trainer after a chance encounter with Chyna, who was impressed by her physique. She debuted in July 2002 as a psychotic, unhinged villain who claimed Trish Stratus had betrayed her during their days as fitness models. At Survivor Series 2002, she defeated Stratus in a hardcore match inside Madison Square Garden to win her first women's championship. Her feud with Stratus stretched into 2003 and produced some of the best women's matches of that era. She won her second women's championship in February 2004 in a fatal four-way and went on to make history alongside Lita in the first ever women's steel cage match on Raw. Bret Hart supposedly called her one of the best. Mickie James has credited her with breaking down barriers. And yet, by January 2009, Victoria asked for her release from the company with 2 years left on her contract after being told there were no championship plans for her. She said the look on the faces of Vince McMahon, Triple H, and Stephanie McMahon told her everything she needed to know about her future in the WWE. After WWE, she signed with TNA as Tara and went on an absolute tear, winning the Knockouts Championship 5 times, making her a 7-time women's champion overall across both promotions. She retired from in-ring competition in 2019 but has made sporadic appearances for TNA and even in the Royal Rumble. Today, Victoria holds a Legends contract, co-hosts a podcast, and is a fixture at WrestleCon and major fan events. But while Victoria's story is one of a career that ended quietly on her own terms, the next wrestler on our list had one of the saddest endings in this entire era. Ashley Massaro's story starts the way a lot of Divas-era stories do. She won the 2005 Diva Search, and her prize was a $250,000 contract and a spot on the roster. Unlike some Diva Search winners who faded into the background immediately, Ashley had genuine charisma and connected with fans right out of the gate. Her first feud came immediately. Candice Michelle, Victoria, and Tori Wilson, collectively known as Vince's Devils, attacked her on arrival, and she was paired with the returning Trish Stratus to fight back. She was later drafted to SmackDown, became the valet for tag team champions Paul London and Brian Kendrick, and built a feud with Melina that led to a women's championship match at WrestleMania 23. She left WWE in July 2008, asking for her release to care for her daughter, who had fallen ill. What followed was a life marked by mounting hardship. In a 2017 affidavit, Ashley described battling depression, severe short-term memory loss, and physical injuries she attributed to her time in WWE, including documented concussions and a fractured spine. She was among 60 former wrestlers who filed a class-action concussion lawsuit against the company. She had begun working as a radio DJ at Long Island's 94.3 The Shark and was pursuing a return to wrestling when, on May 16, 2019, she was found unresponsive at her home in Smithtown, New York. She was pronounced dead at the hospital 10 days before her 40th birthday. The wrestling world mourned immediately. Trish Stratus, Tori Wilson, and countless others shared tributes. WWE honored her at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Her former co-workers organized a GoFundMe to create a college fund for her daughter. Ashley Massaro deserved more time, more support, more of a safety net, but she never got the recognition she deserved. Most people remember Candice Michelle as the GoDaddy girl, the face of multiple Super Bowl commercials in the mid-2000s who became one of the most recognized women in the country almost overnight. That image made it very easy for people to underestimate what she would eventually become inside the ring, which is exactly what made her story interesting. Her early years in WWE were exactly what you'd expect. Lingerie contests, the Vince's Devil stable alongside Victoria and Tori Wilson, a Playboy cover in April 2006, and matches that were more about grabbing eyeballs than pinfalls. But Candice quietly put in the work, and by the summer of 2007, people started paying attention. She defeated Melina at Vengeance 2007 to win the Women's Championship, and her subsequent reign included a brutal feud with Beth Phoenix. Phoenix legitimately broke Candice's collarbone during their rivalry, and her wrestling career was never the same. She was released in June 2009 and largely stepped away from wrestling for over a decade. She built a brand as an emotional alignment coach, pursued acting and media work, and raised a family. Her only in-ring appearance post-WWE was a retirement match in December 2017 at House of Hardcore, where she defeated Victoria. She made sporadic appearances for the WWE during the 2019 Raw reunion and was seen in the crowd during a Raw episode in 2024. Then, in January 2026, Candice showed up in the crowd for TNA's debut on AMC. On March 13, 2026, TNA confirmed that Candice Michelle had officially signed with the company, marking her first wrestling contract since leaving WWE in 2009. She won't be wrestling. Instead, she's working as a backstage agent and producer for the Knockouts division. Not a bad second chapter for someone from the mid-2000s era of women's wrestling. However, it wasn't just the female wrestlers. Many of their male counterparts made shocking transformations as well after leaving the WWE. And if you want to see what happened to every forgotten male wrestler of this era, check out this video next.